Hey there, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. Welcome. In this video, I'm recapping some of my favorite things that I have either demoed, played with, used in a practical way to make music or to think about music over the last year in 2021. Now, these things didn't all come out in 2021. I've just found myself, since the pandemic really, taking more time to learn, understand, and enjoy stuff that helps me make music, whether that's podcasts or plugins or tools or whatever. So these aren't really, the best plugins or my favorite VSTs or whatever. These are just the things that have really kind of meant a lot to me and that I've really enjoyed engaging with over the last year. So before I get started though, I should say, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit the bell icon. You'll get notified when new videos go up that way. And also, if you like the video, I see that and I really appreciate it. If you leave a comment, I will read it and probably react to it or get back to you. It just means a lot. I'm doing videos every Monday for the last couple of months now, and it's been, I think, a really positive thing to have this keep going and have people keep subscribing. I really appreciate it too. So anyway, let's get into the top things. The first thing is the Inner Circle podcast hosted by Bobby Owsinski. So if you don't know, Bobby Owsinski is seen as a really influential kind of thought leader in the mixing and music production space. His podcast is all about music production, and the music industry. And he has had on his podcast, I don't know how many years it's gone now, so many people from all around the music industry. And certainly when I was getting into audio, I'm going to be a composer and I'm going to do this. And I was very kind of rabbit holing in that direction and just being focused on those kind of activities around composing, orchestrating, arranging, MIDI, all that. But the more I listened to the podcast, the more it really opened up my eyes into just how many different directions the music industry has for people who are just passionate about audio and sound. And that's what I love about the podcast. So as I've subscribed over the years, this year more than any other, I've really come to appreciate Bobby's talent for asking questions in a he doesn't qualify everything he says with some personal story, and then he'll just ask a question like, what's the best piece of business advice you've ever learned, or something that was imparted to you along the way, or what's your favorite mixing trick, or what's still the hardest thing for you to do as a mastering engineer. So I love his style, his kind of no-nonsense, just get to the information style. I really connect with it. Even if you're just a composer or a mixer or whatever, you will learn from the people he has on, because music is so all-encompassing now, and the industry is so all-encompassing that you kind of have to do and know everything to even get your foot in the door and to stay in the room. If you're subscribing to the podcast for the first time and you're like, oh, he's going to talk to like a drummer, I don't care. Believe me, stick with it, because you will learn something that will help you think about the audio industry in a different way, or maybe it will help you think about drumming in your next composition. You're thinking about drums and something they say about drums will help you. Or he'll have on like a vocal coach who has a really interesting story about how she came up through the industry and learning how to like meditate and think about how to protect and nurture the voice. Like it's just a great podcast. And it's one of those podcasts that isn't directly about any one thing, like just mixing techniques or just this or just that. It's about everything, and I've really come to appreciate it. I look forward to it every week. And Bobby's blog is awesome too, but the podcast to me is the crown jewel of all of his offerings. He also has a mix engineer's handbook. I think he wrote it a while ago. He basically invented New York style parallel compression. The guy is a legend, and he's also someone you can just email. It's like Noam Chomsky. You can just email him and he'll actually email you back, even though he's got probably way better things to do. So Bobby Owsinski, Inner Circle, it's awesome. So that's my first thing, one of my first favorite things of this year. Let's move on to the second one. So my second favorite thing from this year is Puremix.com. So for those of you who don't know, Puremix is an educational platform where they have folks from all around the industry who will show you how to do something. So in the industry, the music industry, so how to master something, how to mix something. But unlike Mix with the Masters, which is a more kind of prestige cable version of Puremix, Puremix gives you extra stuff as a subscriber. So you will actually be given, in many cases, the stems and multitracks to learn how to mix something that a pro engineer is showing, how they mixed. And it's really cool to actually get the ingredients and make the dish yourself, so to speak, because that's how you really learn. just watching someone do something on YouTube or Mix with the Masters or whatever, that's valuable and you can learn a lot. But to have the ingredients yourself and to get your hands dirty, I think just takes it to another level. And even though the production value and quality isn't quite the same as on Mix with the Masters or another one I'm thinking of here is like Masterclass, to me, the fact that you get that downloadable content just helps so much. And for composers, I'd say, again, if you're looking at these tips like what, we're here for composing, you will learn about mixing your own stuff based on what you learn from them mixing pop, rock, whatever. It's all mixing at the end of the day. Your low end coming from, your double bass or cello or whatever, it's the same thing coming from a synthesizer, and learning how to manage it with stuff you can download and practice with is really, really, really special. They also have things like you'll get free plugins if you're subscribed, or they'll get access to this kind of music adjacent service as, part of your membership. So there's always new value coming in. And they also do this cool thing, unlike Mix with the Masters, where they do something start to finish. They will start with the tracking or even like pre-production, let's hang out with the artist and talk about what they want to do with the song, and they'll go all the way to the master. And that is also really cool and valuable too. So I found that there's a lot of things to subscribe to these days, but this is one of the things that I feel like I have really benefited from, both as someone who does a lot of education and someone who does a lot of production and work. Mixing, mastering, pop, and all that stuff, but also composing. It's been very, very beneficial to me. So if you haven't checked out Puremix, go check it out. They always have sales and deals. And obviously, if you don't think it's valuable, you can just leave. You don't have to, stay subscribed forever. Especially if you're new coming in, there's going to be a whole host of content that I think you'll really benefit from. And the other thing is, it's not just one instructor or a couple. There's a whole bunch of different. So if one of them is annoying you, or you're not quite ready for their level of knowledge or whatever, just shift over and go to someone else. I mean, that's kind of how I found Daryl Thorpe, who's become one of my favorite educators in the space. Just no nonsense, just the information, no kind of pseudo profundity about all these food metaphors and mixing or deep depth. He's just here's what I did, here's what I used. I put this there and I put that there and I did this because I love that stuff. So anyway, and no offense to the people who try to think of a food example for every mix element. It's just, it keeps going on and on. There's so many people who just try to link mixing with attitude and philosophy and feeling, and there's room for that, certainly, but I just want to sign up and I want to learn how someone did something. And so you've got different personalities you can connect with and learn from on the platform, which I really, really love. So Puremix.com, for those who haven't heard of it, go check it out. No matter what you're mixing or doing, I think there'll be something valuable there, as long as you really care about kind of music and audio production. Okay, so the third thing that I've loved this year is discovering Melodyne's YouTube channel. There's a guy there who looks like, kind of God of War in retirement. His name is Rich Crescenti, I think, or Rich Crescendi. I don't know. But he is just like a ninja with Melodyne, which is one of the most kind of complex programs to learn, honestly. It's up there with RX. You really have to sit down and learn it. And until a year ago, or maybe plus, there just wasn't that much information on the site. You had to go to a Groove 3 or one of these kind of video services to really learn how Melodyne works. And Rich just put everything out there on YouTube. And I suspect it has something to do with the pandemic, the availability of people to sit there and kind of teach everything. But for someone like me that really wants to get more familiar and really wants to learn the dark art of Melodyne, I've really benefited from his videos. He's an excellent educator. He really knows his stuff. And a lot of the examples he uses are easy to kind of relate to and then, take and apply to what you're doing. And of course, they're all free. I mean, I got to sit through ads every now and then, but it's YouTube, so they're all free. So I think this guy really deserves some kind of Good Samaritan award for just sitting down and pumping out probably, I'd say, at least 70 or 80 videos, or maybe there's less than that, but it feels like he's just done so many videos. So if you're interested in Melodyne and vocal tuning and doing it manually, of course, there's a lot of tools in Melodyne to kind of automatically, with the macros, the level macro and pitch macros, to just snap things into place. But the way that pros use Melodyne is to really go in there and manually edit things. And Rich really shows you how to make the most of the tool. And of course, not just for pitch correction, but for timing correction too. And really exposes the kind of breadth and depth of that tool to you. So anyway, that was one of my favorite things this year, and something that I benefited from tremendously. So my fourth favorite thing from this year is, believe it or not, a Spitfire tool. And as I believe it or not, I kind of chuckle because I always have this weird relationship with Spitfire. I think they do some really cool things, but I think that there is a kind of oversaturation which they kind of contribute to, of just like string library after string library after string library. It's just, let's get people into a different room. Let's get people into a different room with a different mic, and let's get, like, how many times do we need to sample a violin? I don't know. But I am so impressed with Solstice, which is, I think, the latest evolution of the Albion series. One of my favorite things one of the things I like about Spitfire is, in as much as they do like the table setting, like we're going to have another Abbey Road thing, and it's going to be horns, it's going to be reeds, it's going to be strings. They'll always try and do something kind of wild with their library. So, perhaps the most wild they ever went was the London Contemporary Orchestra LCO library they did, which just had a bunch of weird articulations. It was just perfect for eerie, tense scoring, whether it was horror or thriller. And I feel like this, like Solstice, was a return to form of like, let's just be weird and wild, and let's just really lean into some kind of alternative voice for the sample libraries that we're doing. So I was really, really happy with that library. I'm using it all over the place on a queue, on a series that I'm doing. It's just proven to be really beneficial for what I'm doing. And it's when they do stuff like that where I'm like, okay, this is why everyone, we all keep our love for Spitfire, because they really do find ways to kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit and deliver something that's truly new and unique, and not just like, a better mic or a better player or a better whatever. It's really, really different. So if you haven't checked it out, Albion, so obviously you can't download a demo of any of this stuff. You just have to kind of watch Christian or the other guy. I can't believe I don't remember his name anymore when you think about this channel. I used to watch them all the time. But anyway, go watch them. I did it. I'll link to a queue that I used Solstice for. Anyway, so Albion Solstice. Awesome. Now, the final thing that I've really fallen in love with this year is, there's two things. The penultimate thing is this microphone, and I've already gushed a lot about this mic from Lewitt, so go watch the video. I'll link it if you haven't seen it. It's just been a really cool addition to this room. I really like it, and I don't think I need to say any more than that. You've already seen the video, or maybe you haven't seen the video. This is the LCT 540S, and just a great cardioid condenser microphone that is just awesome, and I'm really happy to have back, as opposed to the SM7B, which again might make a return. I don't know, but I like the way this sounds, and it's been great. So Lewitt, go check them out if you haven't. The very last thing is a plugin, which I never thought I really liked, because there's all these kind of indie companies, and a lot of it's very kind of iterative and me too, and like, here's our LA2A, or here's our Fairchild, or whatever. But Denise Audio did a plugin called Dragonfire, and there's still not a lot of love on that video that I did, but I get it. But it is a really amazing, it's much more than just a compressor, and the way that they've built it so that you can kind of compensate for what you pull out with a really smart, I can't remember, I think it's called like a push or pull slider, is really, really, really clever. And it's just kind of a one-stop shop for compressors now. I don't know if I'll be using any other kind of out of the box or kind of weird and wonderful compressors. This thing really just ticks everything I need in a compressor and more. It's got sound design potential. It's just wonderful. So I would suggest, if you haven't seen that, go watch that video. If you like that video, go download a trial. They're super affordable. They're great guys. They're trying to kind of take a look at everything going on in this industry, and, like, how can we improve? How can we offer something truly new and unique? Something better than third-party folks, and something better than what's in your digital audio workstation. And I think they really succeeded with Dragonfire. So that makes up my list of like my favorite things this year. I want to know from you genuinely, what are your favorite things from this year? What did you rabbit hole and kind of tunnel into? Is it a book? Is it a podcast? Is it a personality on YouTube? Is there someone that you connected with that you were like, oh, this is my new Sherpa in my, audio kind of journey of discovery. I want to know what your recommendations are. Your kind of, maybe it's an article or a blog or something. Please leave it in the comments. I love hearing from you guys about what is kind of tickling your pickle out there. Maybe I'll edit that out. Probably won't. And thanks for watching. Here we go, 2022. I'll see you there. Bye.